Alrighty, well, a very, very, very happy Tuesday, March the 7th of 2023, and welcome to the Throw-In with Justin here on the DNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Got a busy 2-hour episode today. I feel much better doing this show today than I did yesterday. Yesterday I had a program all set up, all ready to go, and then it's kind of like right when you hit the recording, it just kind of falls apart. You'll lose track, and so we're kind of back in the swing of things. Very busy morning to you guys. So that means we're taking you guys up until high noon today. And got a lot of things to talk about today. I want to give a big kind of send our condolences out to the Tampa Bay Rays broadcast team. As we learned actually back on Sunday, David Wills passed away, a longtime broadcaster for the Tampa Bay Rays, along with Andy Freed since 2005, I believe. And it's the type of condolences to the friends and families, along with the community that we have. So, like I said, our prayers and thoughts go out to the friends and family of David Wills, who passed away this past Sunday. So what do we want to talk about today? AEW Revolution. I know I didn't get a chance to, we kind of briefly skimmed the surface yesterday. And I kind of want to, I took some time out of the day to kind of, actually get deep into the matches and everything that happened on AEW. And I kind of wanted to kind of break down as we look for the fallout, which will be this Wednesday on Dynamite moving forward. I want to see the, I want to start talking about some of these matches. We won't get to all of them, but we will get to a good amount of them today, especially some of the big stories coming your way. Pretty big Raw last night. If anyone didn't get a chance to watch, you guys are missing out. Last night, Monday Night Raw, another directional step towards WrestleMania. And I heard this, I've been reading some articles and I've heard this a couple of times already, that a lot of people have said that Raw, WWE in general, has hit a little bit of a stalemate when it comes down to the road to WrestleMania. They were kind of up top knocking it big when Cody Rhodes and Rhea Ripley won the Royal Rumble a couple weeks ago. Then Elimination Chamber, the build up to Elimination Chamber was huge, but since then it's kind of fallen off. Well, they announced another 3 WrestleMania matches last night on Raw, and I think things got built up a little bit. I mean, Raw was from the beginning to the very end, there's always something that kept you on your toes. And even if it was, I will go use the term predictable, there were things that needed to happen. And the conclusion of last night Raw, a little bit of spoiler here on this program, the Jey Uso finally determines and chooses what side he's going to be on. Earlier in the night, all right, we had Kevin Owens and Solo Sikoa kicking things off. And here's the thing. This storyline between Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, it's something that has been told since he joined the Bloodline. And I mentioned this excuse me. I mentioned this early on, the last couple of days, is that WWE has done very well to keep Sami Zayn in the big picture, but without getting him involved between Cody and Roman. That ship has already sailed, and it's now focused on Cody and Roman. Well, Sami is still kind of in this line of taking out the Bloodline. Now, there's a lot of steps to how this is going to conclude at WrestleMania. And I think a huge few steps were taken last night. One, you really did need to see Jey Uso decide whether he was going to be on Roman Reigns, the Bloodline and family, or if he was going to be on Sami Zayn. All right. And we kicked off Monday Night Raw with Paul Heyman saying that, hey, you guys got unfinished business that has to be resolved tonight in order for the Bloodline to move along in their success. They can't head into WrestleMania with this type of turmoil. And so Solo Sikoa, Kevin Owens kicked off Raw, which I thought was great. Really well perceived match. And I understood immediately with everything else that was booked to take place last night. The Bloodline was yet again going to begin the show and end the show. And the Bloodline did yet again kind of took power, in my opinion, over everything else that happened. Yeah, you had Austin Theory and John Cena segment. You had Trish Stratus and Lita and Becky Lynch all in the ring at the same time. We saw Seth Rollins and Logan Paul, but it all came back around to the Bloodline at the end of the night because Sami Zayn took on Jimmy Uso. So Solo Sikoa ends up defeating Kevin Owens, but this doesn't come up without a cost of, all right, let's take Kevin Owens out once and for all. Sami Zayn comes out to save Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens still rejects Sami Zayn, saying, hey, listen, we're not teaming up. You do what you want to do. I'm still going to do what I want to do. I've been, trying to take out this Bloodline for such a long period of time, and I don't need your help. I didn't need your help then. I don't need your help now. Well, then Jey, doesn't get involved into Sammy's and Jimmy's match in the main event, but nonetheless, you see Sammy and Sammy pulls up for a victory, leaves the ring. Jey gets in the ring, and for a moment, you think Jimmy and Jay's back together. And then you see, all right, Jey walks off and is going to reunite with Sami Zayn. And then he gets kicked in, again, tossed in the ring and gets annihilated. Cody Rhodes is the one who comes out and saves Sami Zayn. Now, if it was me, I thought it would be interesting to see Kevin Owens, but this is where that built up is going to now continue into the next few weeks as we sit here and wonder, at what point will Kevin Owens allow their egos to get put aside to come together and to officially take out the Bloodline, which we know problematically that this is a match scheduled heading down towards WrestleMania. And I'm also thinking, could we potentially see Sammy, Kevin, and Cody Rhodes team up to take on Solo Sikoa and the Usos? Those are, I guess, questions that I would like to see over the next few weeks. And I think when you pair Cody up with Sammy, and then you get Kevin Owens, who's currently on the outside trying to look in, I think that for me, that's these are kind of dream matches in a sense that we can see, what the combination of all this before WrestleMania. So really well perceived. I think they made a huge step forward in both announcing a handful of matches, and I understand that these matches were already kind of announced prematurely, but yet again they were confirmed. We still have to wait to see what Edge and Finn Balor says next week. Obviously, we could try to confirm that, but we have a few more matches as we sit. I think it was like 26 days away before WrestleMania. I'm very excited about all that stuff, and I hope you guys are too. So we'll talk a little bit more about Monday Night Raw. Like I said, we'll get to AEW Revolution here in the first hour. A couple breaking news coming out of the world of NFL. Well, we're trying to see the franchise tag, who's going to be tagged in the franchise, who's going to get signed free agency. Well, one of the non-linear situations that took place was nope, wrong one. Excuse me. Was Calvin Ridley Jr. from the uh, Jacksonville Jaguars gets reinstated into the NFL. Now he was part of last year's um, suspension indefinitely of the NFL when he was found guilty of betting on NBA games, and so he got reinstated after a year. Looks like Jacksonville Jaguars traded for him under certain conditions, which were a little bit more weird, offsetted. But Calvin Ridley, and I think he's a big name. I don't know where he fits in. I know that the Jacksonville Jaguars are pretty excited to get him back. So, with how Jacksonville did last year, I don't know. Maybe they will, try to amend things and saying, all right, fresh start. I never accept anyone for playing for betting games while you're playing a professional sport. But this it's been like solid 40 years since Pete Rose, and I'll never accept saying, hey, Pete Rose was allowed to do what he did, because he definitely wasn't. But overall, Calvin Ridley returns. A couple other breaking news around the league. We have say here some more breaking news, because we have the Seattle Seahawks and Geno Smith re-signs to a contract extension to a 3-year, $105 million. And I thought that this was a pretty big deal. Geno Smith kind of, he earned his contract extension. And one of the things going in, possibly heading into free agency, was seeing how he was going to be perceived. I mean, he was given an opportunity in Seattle after they traded Russell Wilson, and it could have went both ways. It could have went a way where he didn't perform well, at which point Seattle would have been earlier on in the draft, in the NFL draft, which then they could be in a better position to move forward to one of the quarterbacks in the draft. Now, we'll talk about it coming up in April. But then, he comes out and he has a really well-received year in Seattle. He throws for a 69.8% completion rate, went 4,282 yards passing, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 7.49 yards per attempt. Overall career, it was better than his average career, and he really had a career to remember. Now, this contract is 3 years and $105 million, and it includes $52 million guaranteed in 2023. And just in the comparison, Geno Smith last year, when he was signed by the Seahawks, he made $17.4 million. That is almost triple today what he's making in this season than he did last season. So a big payday coming from Geno Smith. Other breaking news coming out of the quarterback solutions. The Saints ended up signing Derek Carr as a quarterback. A little surprising, because I have a little article, a top 5 worst situations for NFL teams today, and the Saints are number 3 on that. And I'm like, I was sitting here and I was looking at this wherever that information is. You know what? It's right here. I was looking at that information the other day, and I was looking and I was thinking, I was like, all right, New York Saints. Their first pick is 30th overall. Their cap space is negative $29 million, which is ranked 31st, just in front of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this really changes the entire complexity in the NFC South. I mean, we don't. Tom Brady is supposedly retired. We'll wait to see and find out about that. There's nothing really going on in Atlanta. They're expected to bring back Sam Darnold over in Carolina. So you have yourself a you really picked up a quarterback who was in a really good division, AFC West, facing among Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and he's coming over for 4 years, $150 million. Details into that: $100 million is total guarantee, set to receive $60 million of all the 150 at signing when he officially signs with the team. And listen, last year's numbers a little down, 60%. Completion rate 3,522, 24 touchdowns, 14 interceptions given for Derek Carr. But listen, it's a new look, it's a new deal, it's a new image, and he gets to do it with the Saints, and I think this is a perfect opportunity. He kind of gets, I wouldn't say he would get the division to himself. I mean, new team, new look, 5-time Pro Bowl, playing with Alvin Kamara. I will say though, I understand the Saints are in a cap space, so you're possibly looking at, hey, you need to figure out the offensive line, being considered one of the worst in 2022, and then Michael Thomas' futures, considering his injuries. Maybe this sparks a little bit of energy or motivation to want to come back for another at least year or two and see what the Saints could do. I'm not throwing the Saints in a Super Bowl position quite yet. I think they're still far ways away from doing so. I'm not even throwing. I will give them a better problematical position to win the NFC South this year. Right now, with what Derek Carr brings to the table, and knowing that one, Tom Brady is retired, and that's still on the back burner and kind of floating up in air until we actually come to opening day. For two, I don't think Sam Darnold is going to go nowhere with the Panthers, and I really don't quite know where Atlanta is. So I think sitting here in the month of March, we will be. I kind of favor right now towards the Saints and for Derek Carr to go and take the division and most likely head to the postseason, as which we are looking for. So we'll go ahead and monitor that. The last thing I'll say, because we got to cut to a break to kick off the program, is that a new look, new team. Derek Carr has already proven that he could be a good quarterback on the field. I think now moving down to the NFC South, where the division isn't as much strong as what you're getting in the AFC West, with the dominating Chiefs and the Chargers in the rearview mirror. I think this is you give it maybe 1 year, but if Derek Carr doesn't shape up to be that taking the Saints to a couple of division championships over the next 3 to 4 years, then I think that would be a complete bust, and we will officially see that I don't think Derek Carr is the quarterback to cut out for. So there's some big shoes right now that Carr has to face, because he's finally gotten a chance what he wants. He's gotten, he's away from Las Vegas and with the Raiders, and he's with the new team. All right, we're just getting underway here on the program. I'm going to take you guys up for the next 2 hours, so I'll take you guys up until noon on a Tuesday. If you guys are watching us over on YouTube, we want to thank you guys. Welcome. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Be sure to have those notifications on and don't miss a single episode. If you guys are watching us on Facebook and Twitter, be sure to like and share it with a friend. Invite people over to join into us. If you guys are looking and you guys want to be a part of the conversations and you guys want to jump in, head on over to our YouTube page, the TNC Sports Talk YouTube page, and leave a comment down on the live stream. We'll definitely get you guys up, sharing some thoughts with you guys. If you guys are also listening to us on audio platforms, we welcome and thank you guys for making this your sports talk show. All right, just getting started here. A lot of talk about AEW Revolution coming up next. Don't go nowhere. You guys are listening to the Throw-In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
I woke up, she was looking at me.
1024 here on the throw-in. Want to welcome everyone back. And none of this is possible without the help of our platform, StreamYard Studios. StreamYard Studios is a proud home of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. StreamYard Studios is where you can create podcasts, videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct interviews. Check out their free version today at StreamYard.com. Alrighty. And, listen, this is something, I really wanted to take my time talking about AEW Revolution just because AEW is something that I don't follow quite often, but I also understood that AEW Revolution is the first pay-per-view of the 2023 year, and it was a go home. And from my understanding, AEW has not been perceived, probably because of the road to WrestleMania, but it hasn't really been getting the attention that it needs. I know definitely on this program, we don't talk a whole lot about AEW, only once in a while. But I thought that, all right, so yesterday was fresh off. Now, I did not buy AEW Revolution, and that's just because I just did not feel like I needed to buy it. And therefore, I didn't want to jump in right away and give you all this information without kind of double checking, triple checking, and kind of seeing what everyone else is also saying about AEW Revolution. Now, one thing that I have to kind of keep myself reminding myself is that AEW is not WWE. And we always seen WWE as this, for like the last 20 plus years, as this kids friendly show that you can easily bring your, I feel comfortable bringing my, oldest daughter to WWE. I'm comfortable to bring in kids because they make it kid friendly. And I think for WWE, and this is where maybe, other than the storytelling in the ring and the creative storyness that they've been able to tell over the past several decades, but you also feel that comfortability. I was told by Trey, a former co-host on this program, that he went to one of the AEW events that was down here in Cincinnati last year, and he was telling me how it was a little bit more. He was a little bit unsettled, and I don't know if that's because this was his first time going to the event or whatever the scenario could be, but he definitely did not. He said he enjoyed it, but it wasn't what he expected, or it was definitely outside his comfort zone. I realized that AEW is a little bit more of the independent circuit and really gravitates to the older adults and to the older kids. I mean, I think I was listening to Busted Open podcast yesterday, and I think Bully Ray said it the best, is that this is a show this is more of an extreme, this is kind of like a ECW, but with money in this sense. And you really saw a lot of that out back on Sunday at Revolution. One thing I wanted to really point out, and I think this is worthy enough to mention, was that all your winners, despite maybe the House of Black, all came was homegrown talents. They didn't come from out, from a different promotion or from WWE in that sense. You think of who won. even down to the Lucha Bros and the Briscoes beating Ari Daivari and the Varsity Athletes, Ricky Starks beating Chris Jericho, Jack Perry beating Christian, House of Black beating Elite, Jamie Hayter retaining her title against both Saraya and Ruby Soho, former WWE talent. Adam Page beat former WWE John Moxley. Wardlow beat former WWE Samoan Joe. The Guns beat the acclaimed Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Cassidy, and Dan Hodson. And then MJF retains his AEW um, World Heavyweight Championship. And one thing to kind of point out through talking about this was that not only these are homegrown talents, they're also this image of everyone who won on Sunday night is an image of the building blocks of how AEW can move forward down the road. It is crucial that when AEW goes in, it's always nice to see someone like John Moxley, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk in the sense to capture gold, right? To, hey, I could be successful not only in WWE, not only, but outside WWE too. And AEW is at that list as one of those top indie professional wrestling companies that you want to be successful in. But it's also important that AEW reminds themselves and continues to push themselves to building up homegrown and having success from the guys who, one, has stuck with the company from day one, and two, they've built up and they've been able to shape and form from the beginning. So a lot of different directions we could have seen Revolution go, but to see these homegrown, talents, that are now used instead to maybe building blocks moving forward for AEW success. We saw last year, I think, a little too much of getting away from from their homegrown, talented, roster, right? You've seen a lot of MJ, it was back and forth between CM Punk and John Moxley. You saw Samoa Joe capture some titles. The Elite, had the controversy last year, which also most probably played effect into how the roster was received. So I think we had the winners on Sunday was the beginning of the right move overall. A big question coming out. Like I said, I'm not going to get to every single match, but I want to get to a couple of detailed ones. For example, House of Chris Jericho, Ricky Starks defeats Chris Jericho in a one-on-ones match, and it seems like Ricky Starks is capable of winning when it matters to most. And I think the bigger scenario question I think should take place, and it should be asked, is what's the future for the Jericho Appreciation Society? And this Jericho Appreciation Society was created just about a year ago. Okay, just debuted. And it's really not much different than the Inner Circle, which was dismantled. But what type of success has the Jericho Appreciation Society, had over this past year? And I haven't really seen anything. And it seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that Jericho, his best work is when he's by himself. When he's this person in AEW that's trying to build up people, but it seems like every time he tries to build up the Jericho Appreciation Society, things go back around to him. He's kind of like the face and he's kind of face of Jericho Appreciation Society. Now, like I said, the entire fraction hasn't really done anything exciting, hasn't really done anything motivating. And so I guess for me, in my opinion, moving forward, there should be some real look here on how, if the Jericho Appreciation Society is something that should be continued or slowly dismantled. Ricky Starks has been a part of it, and he's finding a way out. He's beaten Jericho, but you got to realize, all right, Jericho is trying to hold himself together. He's what, 53 years old. He's definitely up there in the age. He's in the spotlight. He's shown that he can still hang around with a lot of these guys, which is very impressive. I mean, and this is not no Ric Flair performance, last year. This is, 53 years old. He's moving around, and he can give you a solid match better than Sting can, which I think is somewhat incredible if you are to ask me. Um, maybe this is time for him to take some time off. Um, it's done more in hands hindrance than help over the past few months of and I just think that Jericho moving forward, at least if you start considering it. I mean, I haven't heard anything about Jericho's final runs in professional wrestling, but days are numbered. You never know when the curtain call is time to call it. I would maybe hopefully to see a one good Jericho run one more time, maybe AEW World Championship one more time at least. But we saw what I saw last on Sunday night was um Chris Jericho losing to Ricky Starks, which also it really hurts the Jericho's Appreciation Society. Um Like I mentioned, a lot of great things happen at Revolution. We're not going to be able to get to the entire match card on this program because we got a lot more to talk about. But the House of Black defeats the Elite to win AEW World Trios Championship. I'm not going to speculate the future of guys like Kenny Omega or even the Young Bucks. It's hard to see. There's always rumors out there, and that's just what they are until you see it in the ring. And I'm one of those guys that, I love to that 411 scoop about the rumors, but for me, there's so many rumors that have come and gone that just don't really give me the credibility. So what I like to do is, and I feel like it also listening and reading into rumors can spoil some of the actual stuff that is set to happen. For example, is that there's been rumored since the Royal Rumble that Kevin Owens and um Sami Zayn to face the Usos at WrestleMania. Well, that's fine and that's fun to see, but I need to see it for myself because it's the buildup that is going to capture me and really make me invested. You just tell me at the end of the bloodline, at the end of Sami Zayn and everything that he's done over the last 10 months, that he's going to team up with Kevin Owens and face the Usos at WrestleMania. That's not enough excitement. That's not going to sell me into wanting to watch it. So everything, like for example, that happened last night with Jey attacking Sami and Kevin Owens is continuing to reject Sami's you know offer and guidance to help take down the bloodline. It's a much different story. So there's rumors about Elite's future with AEW, but I just think personally, the House of Black winning, I think it does two things, in my opinion. One, it finally forces their dominance as a unit, something that they have not been able to do over the past, few months they've been together. A lot of that's probably done with injuries. I know one of the big conversations coming out of the House of Black and beating the Elite is that now we want to see Kenny Omega and Buddy Matthews, which are very similar to each other. And so moving forward, um, I also think that this is a new opportunity, not a new opportunity, but kind of a new look at the Trios Championship. Someone else has those titles. They get a chance to hold it proudly, and they get a chance to defend it. And now you can open up, these bunches of faces, baby faces, to come try to capture the title. And I think that this reign should be a significant reign, a long reign, just as big as when the Elite won it to begin with. So I'm pretty excited to see what's to come with the House of Black. Something they definitely deserve, and something that really, I think, has brought them together. Because other than that, they've been put into some cheap knockoff matches and some cheap knockoff feuds that haven't really gotten, given themselves, that chance to shine. All right, let's take a break. Let's come on back and continue talking about AEW Revolution, because I do want to talk about MJF finally listen, he's gotten a chance to reap the reward, and we'll tell you all about that coming up next here on the Throw-In, available on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alrighty, 10:44 here on the Throw-In. Welcome back, everyone. Justin here, take you guys up until high noon. And we're just talking about some AEW Revolution, which I think they really separated themselves. We talked earlier a couple days ago about blood and how blood was essential to the stepping stone to some of the matches. And one of the conversations we'll talk tomorrow about with AEW Revolution as we get into the fallout of AEW onto Dynamite tomorrow night is, the warrant to blood. And I heard this yesterday, and there's something I think I was saying, and I'm adamant. I think bleeding in professional wrestling is necessary, but I think that there is a time and place, and I think that bleeding should be used as a form of art heading into a match or a feud or whatever the case may be. And we saw, and one of we'll talk about it more heavily tomorrow, but back on Sunday, we saw MJF and Bryan Danielson, and MJF had no problems bleeding. It was a 60-man iron match between MJF and Bryan Danielson. And I think a lot of people, including myself, I will definitely include myself, was I think have been put into our place when it comes down to maybe underestimating what MJF is capable of. I've seen MJF have some pretty big, impactful matches that really that really no one else has been able to have in a career that MJF has. MJF is that it factor. He's as probably one of the biggest heels in professional wrestling today. All right. He has it on the mic. He has it in the ring, and Sunday he's definitely showed it. And I think this was a good question that was being talked about all day yesterday is MJF just took AEW by the balls and went 60 plus minutes to beat Bryan Danielson. Now, I don't care how you win. He's a heel. He doesn't have to win cleanly. He used, he ended up using the oxygen tank. And I thought that was very smart of him. And I think what's even worse from this is that MJF made Bryan Danielson tap out. And so I was just like thinking about this, and I'm like, Bryan Danielson is a submission artist, right? And MJF's been able to make Bryan Danielson tap out. MJF had the press conference yesterday, and a segment that really brought to my attention. I want to air it for you. This was MJF reacting to Bryan Danielson and saying, talking about his preparation to the match.
So my prep was absolutely insane, and I am not afraid to admit that I understood the task at hand when it came to facing the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. I am not going to sit here and pretend that Bryan Danielson isn't an absolutely incredible athlete, because he is. Every single day, I'd wake up 5 a.m. I would take a cold plunge. I would then do fasted cardio for 45 minutes. And then after that fasted cardio, I'd go in the sauna for 30 minutes. And then after that sauna, I would take a shower. Not a cold shower, a normal shower. Then I would eat 12 ounces of oatmeal and 10.5 ounces of white eggs, no yolk. And then I would go to the gym and I would lift like a maniac. And then I would go on the Stairmaster for an hour. And I'm sure there are people at home who are watching this right now that think I'm bullshitting, but I'm completely dead serious. I've never been in better shape in my entire life. I feel I truly gave Bryan Danielson. I feel I was dragging him by his nose at points in that match. I think I exhausted Bryan Danielson. I also think I tapped out Bryan Danielson. Go figure. But in all sincerity, Bryan Danielson is hands down the toughest competitor I've ever been in the ring with, and I was fully aware that I had to do everything in my power to be perfectly ready for that match. And I think I most certainly was, because I put on probably one of the best, if not the best, professional wrestling match I've done in a long time.
Yeah. You know, if you want to listen to his actual post match information, you could head on over to AEW. Just type in AEW Revolution. You could hear all that. I mean, I didn't, this is just really people don't, this is what I think what's frustrating now. I could only talk to a certain level, to a certain extent, but I remember when I was wrestling in high school, and I know this was high school, but there would be times and practices where, at the end of the day or mid through the week, they would have us just continuously going and going for 10, 20, 30 minutes consecutively to be, and it was a lot of work. All right. I mean, you would go to a workout, you'd go through practice, you'd go run forever, and then you'd have to come back and do this. And I don't think, even myself, I can't really quite compare that to an Ironman match, but there is some we know, and I've said this before, we know that Bryan Danielson was capable of going 60 plus minute and not really show any signs of weakness. The bigger question was to see MJF go the 60 minutes, and he was capable of going it at ease. And they show, and it was another thing to be able to go from the ring of the bell to the very end of the match and then go another 7 minutes, complete, not leaving a dead spot. There was not a moment, from my understanding, that you wanted to get up and go see something else and, go to the bathroom or go get something to drink. I mean, this was something that when you started watching the match, you had to watch it from start to finish. And I think it did. I've told you guys last week that two people would have walked away out of Revolution with very important victories on their career, and it's still to say, um one of them was Hangman Adam Page, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. And then the next thing was seeing MJF retain that AEW championship. Now, like I said, he's proven it on the microphone time and time again that he's capable of being a top elite star. He has also proven it inside the ring, especially Sunday night against Bryan Danielson in the Iron Man match. And I guess, the thing is what's next? I will love to see another match between them two. I don't think that this is over. And this was one thing that I even threw out in the questions is could we see Bryan Danielson and MJF in a rematch at Double or Nothing? AEW's never produced the same main event with consecutive pay-per-views. But it got me thinking before that, and before listening to Busted Open, and they kind of just reconfirmed, everything that I was thinking about. And I was like, well, then what type of match is it? You can't put Danielson and MJF inside a Iron Man match again. I don't think that the steel cage match is appropriate. We just saw a Texas death match on Sunday between Adam Page and John Moxley. Could there be a no disqualification? Of course, and let both men run wild with weapons. But I'm always also thinking, could we potentially, at least between now and Double or Nothing, because I don't think this gimmick would be a main eventer gimmick, but maybe a submissions match. We've already seen MJF win by, beat Bryan Danielson by a submission. Could we see another submission match? I think if you would see another submission match, you would almost have to see Bryan Danielson go at it, win and make MJF tap out. But I think MJF's run is more detailed beyond Bryan Danielson. So I think that was a couple favorite things. But overall, I think MJF has proven a lot of people wrong. And I think moving forward, it needs to be clear just how good MJF is. And I think maybe, just maybe, AEW has kind of got themselves into the pickle. Now, I've heard and I've read that, I guess, let me see this. So I heard there was an article here. Tony Khan is unhappy with MJF after AEW Revolution. Due to one particular moment during MJF's match against Bryan Danielson at least Sunday's night AEW Revolution, Tony Khan has to have a serious conversation with a salt of the earth with MJF. And I kind of want to do, well, this is why MJF is probably okay. So I'm pretty sure, and because he dumped a her son, and I'm kind of watching it. There you go. Okay. A lot of people are gonna hate this, but I'm gonna say, if you guys didn't see it, it's on Twitter. Let me see if I can. Let's do this. All right, I want to work on. Here we go. Follow that. Thank you. Let me see if I can. Maybe I can find it. Most likely not, right? Because that's just how I am. Okay, so let me try to find the Twitter clip of MJF tossing the drink to on a fan during the match. And there's some. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and retweet it to the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel on Twitter. So if you guys are on Twitter, go down, check it out. And I'm just like, okay, wow. You know what though? That's what makes an incredible heel. Now I've noticed that there has been a lot of wrestling fan interactions as of late where wrestlers have really spelled into the crowd. But I think honestly that those are little things that it's like, I hate MJF. Maybe I hate the experience going to AEW because I don't want to get attacked. And yeah, I think, professional wrestling companies have to be a little eerie, moving forward about, okay, what's, how is that, what's going on, right? I think that, about their wrestlers getting involved into with the crowd, but that's what is expected to happen. And if you are a wrestling fan, that's what happens. Yeah, but those are little things in professional wrestling as a heel that really means the most. All right, our number one is concluded. Let's come on back and kind of transition into new topics and conversations. The Cincinnati Reds had a pretty impressive victory yesterday as they continue spring training Cactus League action today against the Giants. We'll cover all that, plus 16 players from the Reds organizations heading to the World Baseball Classics. Find out who that is and much more. Hour number 2 coming up next. You guys are listening to The Throw-In on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Looking back at the good times before it all went down, climbed right up on the hillside but I'm your liability. I know you are my liability. I know you are my liability. Oh, what a hopeless case we could be. Yeah. Oh, what a hopeless place that we're in. But I'm your liability.
Alrighty. Hour number 2 here of the Throwin'. Welcome back. Justin here. You guys are listening to the Throwin' on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. And I'd like to give a big shout out to our audio source. And if you guys are listening to us and downloading us on audio platforms like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, taking us on the work wherever you go, that is because of, and a big thanks and thank you to Spreaker, who provides all of that wonderful, incredible platform. If you guys are looking for your own platform to post your podcast on, or talk shows or content, and you also want to be able to have a realistic breakdown of who's watching, how many downloads, the impressions, and also get ad monitoring and get credit for your work. Download Spreaker.com and check out all their wonderful options as well. Busy hour number 1, another busy hour number 2 coming your way. Cincinnati Reds took on the Colorado Rockies last night. I don't even think I have that information ready for you, which kind of, there we go, right there. I knew I had something ready for your information here, but took on the Colorado Rockies last night in a nighttime ball game. I thought that was quite nice to see the Reds have a nighttime ball game. Didn't get a chance to watch it. I was watching baseball here, not baseball, wrestling. So we'll but the Reds picked up the victory to last night, 6-1 final score, put up 10 hits. Chase Anderson went 2 innings, giving up 2 hits, 1 walk, and no strikeouts, or 5 strikeouts. Christian Encarnacion, man, I think he's kind of been on that. He's been in the news for the last couple of days. He went 2 for 3 with a home run, and Alan Curda went 1 for 2, a walk, a home run with a 2 RBIs on the record for last night's ball game. They'll go on and take on the 3-8 San Francisco Giants today at 3:05 p.m. Right-handed Graham Ashcraft will get the nod for the 5-5 Cincinnati Reds baseball team. You can listen to this game on MLB.com for the Giants, and also WLW for the Reds. We'll see kind of like a more neutral lineup today. It's kind of already out at the Cincinnati Reds website. Jonathan India will get things leaded off. He'll be playing second. Tyler Stevenson getting that transitional work at first base. Bill Myers will get the designated hitter, will play DH. Jake Fraley out there in left field. So, that's something that is, I guess, is expected. We talked heavily about that last couple of days about Tyler Stevenson potential. I still think potentially he is going to get the nod at first base after Votto leaves. So we'll see, I guess, where the long-term plan is for him. Now, there's been a case, articles, cases already rent up that, it's like, all right, what do we got to do to get Encarnacion out there on the Major League opening day roster come March 28th? And some people are saying, let them play. I hear the Reds lockdown quite often, like, let them play, let them go up. The only way they're going to learn is by getting the experience at the Major League level. And for one, I would already like agree with that. I just, with the talent that the Reds have now, I've never been one to rush anyone in to the major leagues. Now, throughout this year, maybe as players get hurt, I would like to see these guys get their experience and get their at-bats. But here's the way that I'm going to look at the Reds roster. Okay. Unless they are officially ready to go, which is kind of hard to say, or unless they don't have anyone else at that position that can play that position. Those two scenarios are the only reason why I would have a guy like Christian Encarnacion Strand up at the major leagues. Same thing for Ellie De La Cruz. Same thing for Alan Curda. Same thing for Noelvi Marte. Unless they are ready to go, big league level, all right, or there's no one else that can potentially take their spot, no one else that can fill in that role, then throw them in there. The other scenario is that if they're playing in September, which I think would be a huge proposition, I understand that this Reds team is down a new direction. Don't rush it, though, because what was going to end up happening is that you're going to rush these players to get up to the major leagues. And maybe they have the first few weeks and they kick off great. But then, like every other player does it, all right, at least 9 out of 10 players does this, that they go on this downhill slump, all right? And it's a pretty big slump where they almost have to go back to the minor leagues and readjust themselves. When you throw these guys out there, all right, and you saying, all right, here you go, sink or swim. Most of the time they're going to sink. And when we see that downhill spiral and they're not able to go back and to make those adjustments, and whether it's mechanical or whether it's, maybe plate vision, whatever the case may be, then it does affect you. Us, the fans, are quickly to analyze and judge the terrible performance other than, oh, what a great performance they're having. We're saying right now that Encarnacion Strand is having a phenomenal spring. And by far credit, he's having an incredible spring. But at the same time, okay, but that's right, because we need guys to fill in the empty holes that the Reds currently have. No one's going to really ever talk about how good, unless you are Juan Carlos Stanton or Juan Soto, no one's talking really about, and Encarnacion is not there, I'll tell you that. He's that average ball player at the major league level right now. And the only reason why he's getting that attention is because he's better than half the guys right now on the roster. And we're just in March, second week of spring training. But you get him to the big leagues, he's that average ball player. And when you get him to be facing everyday lineups with the Cardinals and the Cubs and the Brewers, he's going to be average. Maybe batting 240, 250. All right, he's not going to be, and he'll even go off on a hit streak. But see, no one's ever going to talk about how well he's going to be playing unless he's putting up numbers like a Juan Soto. No, we're going to be talking about, we'll only be talking about oh, it's too early to be calling him up. Oh, he's not fit for the position. Reds made a terrible deal. And I think it decredits and devalues the player at hand. So I honestly think, we have to grind out to understanding that this team is not meant for the 2023 season. So why rush? Why rush pitchers? Why rush players to be at a level? And I understand, hey, listen, 2024, we may not have the same ball players, which means we're going to ask these players to stick up and stand up in the way. But at the same time, we don't need to see anyone be rush opening day. Mid-season is a completely other story, but nothing come opening day. Cincinnati Reds are going to have a little bit of problems because they are sending 5 major league players and 11 minor league players to represent their countries in this year's 2023 World Baseball Classic. And I think this is an exciting time for baseball fans and, I'm rooting for Team USA, but we really have a diversity of the 16 guys. There's 10 countries out of the 16 guys that will be representing. Now, some of these names you won't know because they're really down in the minor leagues, but let me just kind of go through the list for you. Australia will have Kyle Gologski. Colombia will have Javier San Martin, Pedro Garcia, Tyrone Guerrero. Great Britain will have Donovan Benoit, Ian Gibbott. Israel will have Evan Kravets. Italy will have Nicolo Pinazzi, Vincent Timpanelli, and I apologize if I butcher these names. Laugh at me. Mexico will have Luis Cessa. Nicaragua will have Stephen Layton. Netherlands will have Orige Franson. Puerto Rico will have Alexis Diaz, Fernando Cruz, and Henry Ramos. And then Venezuela will have Silvino Bracco. I mean, it's a big group, and it's great to see that the World Baseball Classics are calling upon guys like Javier San Martin, Ian, Luis Cessa is going to get the opportunity, Alexis Diaz, Fernando Cruz, and to see that these are all upcoming rising talent going through the Reds organization. 16 ball players. I think that's very impressive, if you ask me. And I think that's also something on the good note. If you're asking me, hey, who do you, when you look at the Reds today, and you're like, man, I just don't know. And then you look at the, saying, hey, there's 16 players. It's almost a full roster that will be representing. Now, I think this is all come to show because there are players throughout Major League Baseball that I've chosen not to represent because maybe their health status. But you know what? I think the Reds, these players, they need as much work as they could get. To see Luis Cessa, Javier San Martin, Alexis Diaz go out there, represent their countries, I think that's incredible, phenomenal stuff. So we'll keep up to date because World Baseball Classics set to start away here in a couple of days. Now, what does it mean? Well, hopefully, I don't know the schedule to the top of the T during the spring. I know we just came off of a huge, kind of like a 5-day series doubleheader. We'll have a doubleheader Friday against Seattle and Arizona. So, and then then we have one more doubleheader on the 26th against the Rockies and the Guardians. So I'm not really too worried, but you kind of get worried because the more players are being taken away from, your organization to go play in these World Baseball Classics, it gets in the way of, actually what the Reds are trying to do. So we wish everyone good luck in the World Baseball Classics. I personally go for the United States. That's just me. Reds, looking at their schedule, the Giants, they'll be on the road to the Padres and the Cubs. They'll split set Friday, be on the road to Texas, home to the Dodgers and to Milwaukee. Kansas City on the road, Chicago at home, and then we'll have the 16th off next week before they, and then they'll have one more day on the 21st off before they finish up spring training, getting ready for baseball here. So 7, 14, 13, 14, 17 days left before baseball begins against the Pittsburgh Pirates. If anyone has tickets, let me know. I would like to go to a baseball game. Xavier basketball, well, Musketeers, or was Xavier baseball, excuse me. The Musketeers will be playing Cal Poly tonight at 9 p.m. on the road. Once again, we already talked about this long road stands that they have. And then they'll be taking and then they continue that, and then they'll continue a road stands on, for the weekend before they come home next week to play Michigan. Kentucky Wildcats baseball. The Wildcats take on Murray State at home. First pitch today is at 4 p.m. You want to go out there and support your college baseball teams. Also, please do so as well. All right, let's take a timeout and transition. I got 5 teams here. All right, 5 teams in the NFL that are dealing with some pretty big issues, especially when it comes down to their salary cap. We'll explain more next here on The Throw-In.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out.
trying to make up your mind like you need more time. You've already spent most of mine. Even when your words fail, you try to keep it light. You realize I'm done right.
I want to give a shout out to Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com. Alrighty, 11:22. Take you guys up until noon on this Thursday, and so far so good. Still like to come back around and talk about some more other sports on the way. Transitioning a little into baseball, football today, as we learned the breaking news that came out away with Calvin Ridley being reinstated. We also saw Geno Smith being resigned and Derek Carr being signed to the New Orleans Saints. Now, I think these are incredible deals. Lamar Jackson, man, that's something that, you know, is kind of left out to be hung. I believe the Baltimore Ravens were going to franchise tag him for this year. I'm not 100% sure or certain where that is at, but he, you know, you're seeing deals like Derek Carr, which I was a little surprised because coming up here in this segment, we'll be talking about the 5 teams that I think are going to be running into this with the most issues. But you have Derek Carr is going to have to now put up or shut up. He kind of is testing the leg of free water. And I've said this to, like, this is kind of reminds me of last year with Baker Mayfield. But there's really no reason why Derek Carr, he's a quarterback. He's a good quarterback. I mean, he's gone for 2022. He's thrown 24 touchdowns, throwing 68%, completion rate. And I think that's maybe league average, but he was also going up against top teams like the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and the Chargers and Justin Herbert. And I even say Russell Wilson, although the Broncos didn't give us a performance that we expected them to have, but he's now in the NFC South with Tom Brady retiring. That's kind of a league of his own, or a division of his own. And, the Saints, we'll talk about the Saints here in a moment, but they're kind of, I know they have their own other problems that they're going on. They locked in and set the quarterback issue, which they have addressed the number one concern for their future. Now it's about getting players to help correspond with their quarterback, with the team. And I still, right now, like I mentioned early on before even, spring, the draft day, I'm kind of favoring the New Orleans Saints to walk away with that NFC South team, division. So here I have 5 teams that I think are kind of in a little scram. Coming in at number 5 are the Los Angeles Rams. And I think this one is given. They're ranked 37th overall. The first pick of the draft will be 37th overall in the second round draft. Their cap space is currently 24th, sitting at negative $14 million. The good news is that you have Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald healthy. And I think last year really played dividends to the reason why, play dividends when it came to injuries. The Rams were injured. They even had to bring in Baker Mayfield to kind of help even that playing field out. The positive note, this team overall for the Rams was built around the 2021 season. No, 2021, where they went on to win the Super Bowl. And it was a do or die. They put all their chips into Matthew Stafford and to the entire season. And what happened? They won the Super Bowl. Now, if they didn't win the Super Bowl, you were going to hear that this was the worst franchise decision ever made. But guess what? They won the Super Bowl. And now what we're going to be seeing, okay, they're still a very good football team. Yes, we didn't expect that the Seahawks were contending last year. We didn't expect, I think we did expect San Francisco to be just that good, but we didn't know how good. And them trying to take it back again was a possibility, but injuries caught up to them. So, but what we're seeing now is that the Rams are now facing the consequences. Not the consequences, but the aftermath. You put all your chips in, you went all in, you cashed out your bank for 2021, you succeeded. And now you're coming into this season, and you're going to be coming into the next 4 or 5 seasons looking like you don't have anything to offer. And great, you won it when you did. The NFL is about winning today, and they did that last year. And what you're seeing is that San Francisco has room to continue to move forward, while now you have to sit back and wait. You have good players. I don't know if it's enough to get you to another Super Bowl, nonetheless a NFC West Division Championship, possibly, but everything would have to go right your way. I don't think we're going to see another Rams team from 2021 for probably about 2 to 3 years. I'm not saying that they can't make it back to the postseason, but they're not going to be as dangerous as we possibly thought they were. Coming in at number 4 for me, which is a big one, Miami Dolphins. First pick is the 52nd overall in the second round. Cap space is negative $15 million, ranked number 26 in the NFL. I think the big question coming out of Miami, okay, is the decision of Tua Tagovailoa's future with the ball club. We saw last year a couple of major concussion injuries that kept him out, and actually finished off the rest of remainder of the season on the IL. Now, there's been a lot that's been surfaced over the last year. Now, the question is, do you continue? He's one of the 4 top, class coming in with Justin Herbert, coming in with Joe Burrow that did not get a contract extension. Joe Burrow's working out a deal. Herbert's working out a deal. Tua's kind of still off. I think if you're Miami, I like Tagovailoa, but something big has to change in the way that he carries himself playing football. He has to be more protective of himself. And I think, you take the franchise tag with Tua Tagovailoa, you give him, you take that extension option, and you decide next year why, just where you're going to go with Tua. Where Miami's at, they don't have a position to go out and get a NFL a college quarterback out, into the NFL. And you have some other things that you need to work out. You got to figure out the roster with Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert, Mike Gesicki, the tight end, the tackle Greg, Little. There's other questions right now for Miami. Is the other questions right now? Miami is on the playing field. Sit down with Tua Tagovailoa. Be like, listen, I want to sign you with a contract. I think Miami wants to sign him to a contract. Say, I want to sign you to a contract. All right. But I need to see before we take that shot, before we gamble on your longevity and sign you to that deal, we need you healthy, and your health is more important. So if we option to you to a 5th year, year, and then to give you one more year before we decide to sign you, we need to see a couple things change. And or else I strongly feel if Miami just goes out and sign him, we can see, and nothing changes, we can see a downhill spiral for Tua. Tua probably won't last long, and Miami is probably going to have to eat what they spend. Coming in at number 3 is the New Orleans Saints. They're the 30th. First pick is the 30th overall. Their cap space is negative $29 million, the 31st in the NFL. And the reason why New Orleans is kind of on this list at number 3, despite Derek Carr, and I think, one of my things were they're looking for a stable quarterback. Well, you found it. Derek Carr is your quarterback, and now you have to focus in on these cap spaces. All right, you got to focus in on Marcus Davenport. You got to focus on Michael Thomas and figuring out what you're going to get. Now it's time to focus in on Alvin Kamara, taking care of Alvin Kamara and the offensive line to go protect Derek Carr. So I think, they're on the right path, but they still have plenty to do. And Derek Carr ain't going to go nowhere unless they tackle on these decisions. Now, they come in negative $30 million on the payroll roster. So something kind of has to give if you are the Saints. How can we open it up? Things may just look a little worse before they start looking better. Coming in at number 2 is the Baltimore Ravens. First pick of the draft will be the 23rd overall. Cap space is $25 million, ranked number 8th in the NFL. Now, they look really good right now in the cap space moving forward. But the number one question is Lamar Jackson. What is the deal? They have yet to come up with an agreement. It looks like either he's going to hit free agency or the Ravens are going to use the franchise tag on him. And I personally feel that until they can't move forward, to improve their team, and they can't move forward to better their team until you see an agreement, regardless of if they decide to stick with Lamar Jackson or not, until they figure out their quarterback position. It's funny how a lot of NFL problems start with quarterback. You can't build a team without a quarterback, right? And I feel like the longer these two parties wait to negotiate, to figure out a deal, the less likely it's to happen. Now, I can't quite see Lamar Jackson go to any other team, but could I see him in a Jets uniform? Possibility. And that's if they let him walk. Now, why would Lamar Jackson knows his worth? He knows his value. So why would Lamar Jackson go out there and tackle on some, an additional extension and get hurt significantly? I think you put a lot of things in perspective if you're the Ravens and you try to work out yourself a deal. And, if the Ravens separate from Lamar Jackson, it would be kind of being in this whole resetting mode. The other option is trading Lamar Jackson, which, if you're going to trade Lamar Jackson, you're going to get your bang for the buck. I just don't know. I just don't see an NFL team willing to give you everything they got for Lamar Jackson. There's not a quarterback. There's not a team out there that is ready to win, but the only thing they're missing is that quarterback that is willing to give up their future for Lamar Jackson, knowing that you only get him for 1 year. I don't see it. And There, if you see an NFL team that's ready to win the Super Bowl this year, but they're only missing a quarterback, and they don't, that if they get Lamar Jackson, that they're going to win the Super Bowl, then let me know. But I don't think. I mean, he is a pretty big bargaining chip. So I think either they're gonna the Ravens are gonna have to eat this one, let him walk, or they got to sign him very soon, very soon. Coming in at number one, last but not least, is the Buccaneers. Their first pick is the 19th overall. The cap space is negative $57 million, the worst in NFL. And we don't see Tom Brady back. And at least supposedly, we don't see Tom Brady back. I mean, this is another team similar to the Rams who cashed in their playing chips, said, we are ready to win now. This is what it's going to take. And this is the aftermath of after winning. They went on, they won a Super Bowl. They try to make it there again. And the Buccaneers and the Rams are very, very similar teams when it comes down to all this cashing in the chips and reaping the reward now to paying for the price later. Now, the Buccaneers, they don't have a quarterback. For the second straight year, the Buccaneers see Tom Brady right off into the retirement. But this time, things look more certain that he will not return, which means the hunt for the quarterback begins. Derek Carr is off the table. Could we see Jimmy Garoppolo? That may not be an easy because of cap space. And, you're probably looking at, if you're looking at for a Rodgers or Jackson, you would almost have to settle next for nothing, and you're probably looking for kind of someone smaller, maybe doesn't cost a lot, if nothing at all. But until the cap space clears up, this would be kind of like a rebuild for years to come. And that's kind of what I agree on that behalf. Buccaneers are kind of long ways away. Unless they kind of get a miraculous turnaround. I just don't see anything big happening. I mean, they're already $60 million negative. Man. All right, let's take our last time out of the day. Let's come on back. Let's talk about Roadblock that's still to come. We'll see a couple great matches coming out of there. Also, some more WrestleMania matches, plus the the segment between John Cena, who returned to Monday Night Raw last night. We'll still get that under your way. Taking to the bottom of the hour and bottom of the program, you guys are listening to The Throw-In here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
to LA with it. Ride to LA with it. Yeah. 10 toes down, I'ma ride with the gang. My whole life I've been doing my thing. Get that money, ain't no
NXT Roadblock tonight on USA Network at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check out a couple of the amazing matches that are scheduled for NXT Roadblock before NXT TakeOver, as we see the NXT Women's Championship, Roxanne Perez defending her title against Mieko Satomura. We also will see Gigi Dolan take on JC Jane, a feud dated back from time finally started separating. Probably one of the best tag team women's, in women's wrestling NXT. We'll also see D'Angelo taking on D-Jack in a jailhouse street fight tonight, as well as Grayson Waller Effect. The Grayson Waller Effect with special guest Shawn Michaels. Man, that's going to be a pretty big match card on NXT tonight, and I'm pretty excited to see. The Gigi Dolan and JC Jane match, which for me, I'm. How do I put this? I'm surprised it went longer than it did. You saw the departure of Mandy Rose and this Toxic Attraction, who dominated the women's tag team division for well over a year, I believe, and they're getting a chance to finally dispute it out. And I don't know. I don't think it's going to end tonight, but then you will potentially see it in maybe NXT TakeOver. But then, the big speculation is seeing Shawn Michaels on the Grayson Waller Effect. I don't think Shawn Michaels is going to wrestle again. I think that's a little far from my imagination. But yeah, we'll see what happens tonight on the Grayson Waller Effect. Roadblock heads up to NXT TakeOver. Other big news: WWE announced that both the King and Queen of Ring will take place May 27th, Saturday, in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, at their premium live event. There, I believe it's the next pay-per-view. No, not next pay-per-view, because they got Backlash, but it's their pay-per-view on May 27th in Saudi Arabia, in Jeddah. Both King and Queen will be crowned there. So be looking forward to seeing how that set up post WrestleMania. But I tell you, WrestleMania matches are still lurking underway. 3 more were announced. One being confirmed last night. We had Seth freaking Rollins taking on Logan Paul. Seth Rollins called out Logan Paul after all these media, problems, and we're finally getting to see this match. Was confirmed last night, as kind of the Miz got in the middle of this, and it was kind of funny. So the Logan Paul was invited down to the ring, and the Miz tried to act like he knew him forever, and then we saw Logan Paul kind of stood him up, and Logan Paul made it about Logan Paul and Seth Rollins. And one thing that really kind of probably ticked a lot of people was that Logan Paul told Seth Rollins that I've done everything that you could do, maybe other than despite winning a championship, in 1 year span that you've been trying to do for the past 10 years. And, there's going to be some controversy. Now, it's like the wife, she absolutely hates Logan Paul with a passion. And I've learned to come to respect Logan Paul in the sense that, he has kind of earned my respect that, hey, if he wants to do this, then he will go in and do this tenfold and put his best foot forward. So we will see Logan Paul and Seth Rollins a WrestleMania match. I don't know how long this is going to happen. Where you lose Logan Paul, but you know what? He's turned into an actual wrestler, and he's had some really memorable moments. Take a look back at everything that has happened last year at WrestleMania, from WrestleMania, right, to having his first singles competition with The Miz, to facing Roman Reigns, to the high-flying Royal Rumble spot. And, he's grown. He's changed. He's moved on. But yeah, so we'll see that at WrestleMania. We will also see Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai take on Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus. Now, in all due respect, I personally felt that maybe Lita and Becky Lynch should have had a title match at WrestleMania. And I am one to go favor. I'm one to go out there and favor. You have I'm a brain fart. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. But I think I don't know the status of Ronda Rousey and her injury. So I don't know if that's gonna change things up and put things on the back burner. Gotta excuse me. I had to blow my nose. I don't want you guys to have to hear that there. So, but I'm excited. This was another predictable match. And then last but not least, another predictable match was John Cena taking on Austin Theory. John Cena returned to the WWE, to Monday Night Raw last night, and they didn't hesitate. They didn't wait. They right away, Austin Theory comes out and this promo gets cut. So I kind of want you guys to listen to the promo that was being cut yesterday between Theory and Cena. Here's the audio.
That's right. Cena it up, because that gift is me and you on the grandest stage of them all for the United States Championship. Austin Theory versus John Cena.
All right, so right there, I want you just to understand that Austin Theory is giving John Cena a gift, saying that, John Cena, hey, my gift to you is a title match at WrestleMania for my prestigious United States Championship that I hold so dearly and proud. Okay, so that's where Austin Theory is wanting to give John Cena a match. I want to also include, before we hear John Cena's response, is that I think that a John Cena and Theory match is good for Theory, I think. And I think John Cena made some really good, incredible points that we'll talk about here, but here's John Cena's response.
No. I would so much rather be bald than have them pipe in fake crowd noise for my matches because nobody cares. Dude, I can go buy some Topic. You still suck. You really are a dumb son of a... I didn't say no because I gave up. I said no to save your ass. You're not ready. Dude, you're really putting my back against the wall, but you don't understand. If you and I have a match at WrestleMania and I win, you lose everything. You're done.
That's true.
You're done. And if we have a match at WrestleMania and you win, you lose everything.
Interesting.
Oh, no, sure. You may win the day, but then you got to go out the Monday after all by yourself and explain.
Good point.
You won't have me to lean on. No, it'll just be you, big man, against the most harsh, vocal, ruthless, critical audience in the WWE, and they will eat you alive. Because they see what I see and they see what they see. You are full of crap.
Okay. Calling out the BS. I like it.
But you really left me no choice because you brought them into it.
You can't bring them
And
around
now
into it with
I
John
got to
Cena.
ask them to see what we're going to do.
Okay, go on, ask him.
Boston?
Yeah? From Boston.
Do you want to see Austin Theory versus John Cena at WrestleMania?
Let me put in my count.
Dude, I may not care about you, but I'll never give up on them.
Yeah, that's
Remember this moment. You just made the biggest mistake of your life.
It's a different conversation for a
At
different day.
WrestleMania, for the United States Championship, it's going to be Austin Theory versus John Cena.
Yeah. We'll see that in action. I'm excited. So we will see John Cena and Austin Theory at WrestleMania. Interesting points. Is Austin Theory ready for this spotlight? And, how do I put this in greater perspective? I think Austin Theory has been put into the mix. He has been thrown out there as this quote unquote next big talent that Vince McMahon had this wonderful vision on. And I didn't disagree with Vince McMahon. I didn't disagree or disliked Austin Theory. He was thrown into the Elimination Chamber. He had a segment with Vince McMahon on WrestleMania facing Pat McAfee. He goes on to win the Money in the Bank. He goes on to win some championship matches. And, he's giving himself opportunity. But since Triple H took over, Austin Theory can't get over. That's the thing. He's there. He's getting there. He just can't get over that mountaintop of being that next guy, at least being guy when you compare him to Seth Rollins. And I get it. It takes time to build somebody. But he's being thrown out there. He's being thrown out there with the United States Championship. He's being thrown out there to beat guys like Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley. He's done all that. And I don't know. I kind of feel like this is almost a desperate cry for help hey, John Cena, we really need you. We need you to come in here and work with Austin Theory. And, because there's a lot of similarities. John Cena was at the version, because John Cena compared Austin Theory as the ruthless aggression version of himself, which ended up almost getting him fired from WWE. Now, Austin Theory, and I do see that. I think you have to listen to that a few times and actually compare that Austin Theory's career. But he's getting put into all the right opportunities. He's not getting over to that next level. I think John Cena's asked to come in here to try to maybe help him get to that next level and get him over. And I don't, John Cena did make a clear point that regardless of you win or winning or losing at WrestleMania and beating John Cena, you're still losing because now you're going to have to take the raft of the WWE universe the next day. And I mean, this is going to be an incredible match. I think, here's also the other thing. So, and I was thinking about this and I don't know how well you guys will take this, but, does this count? So John Cena is a 16-time champion. I don't think he. I think that's, the very first title that he won was the United States Championship, right? Could that very well be the last title he wins in wrestling? I mean, maybe, I don't, obviously he's doing movies and whatnot, but maybe he goes on and he makes Theory earn that United States title, which has been so historical under John Cena when he carried it. I don't know. There's a couple of interesting points that you can go through talking about all of this between Theory and John Cena. But at the bottom line, it's more than a match that to come at WrestleMania between these two men. It's more than a match that these two men have to face. It's a do or die, almost desperate situation that Theory really needs this match to get to the next level in his career. So will Austin Theory take on that challenge? We will see. All right, we are at the end of today's program. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. We will be back again tomorrow. I don't have a specific time date. Probably a noon, maybe a noon to 2 to 4-ish. I don't really quite know at this time, but we'll be back. Reds baseball, some college baseball going on today, and NXT Roadblock. We'll come back and talk more all about that stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Throwing with Justin. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow. You guys are listening to right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Take care, you guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow.